certified life coach with emphasis on positive psychology. I want to thank you all for listening to the Trophy of Grace podcast. I want to thank all my subscribers who listen in pretty much religiously. Our focus is to help as many people as possible learn that there's more to life than you know. Trophy of Grace is a book that came from the name. That name came from a place of trauma, abuse, shame, and bondage, and so much more. And God gave me that name to exemplify that I am a trophy of grace, and so many more. All of us really are a trophy of grace. And I just want to thank you all for tuning in. I would like to also let you know that that book can be purchased on Amazon.com, www.amazon.com, or Barnes and Noble, Nook, and that's an ebook, and there's an ebook on Amazon as well. If you are a victim of any type of sexual trauma or any type of trauma in that area and would like to schedule a one-on-one session with me, the first session is free. And if you would like me to help coach you through some of those challenges and just kind of help you, those personal challenges, kind of help you achieve some of those individual goals, be sure to reach out to me at www.twylaellis.net. Again, twylaellis.net. Also, if you want to hit me up and get a quicker response, shoot me an email at twyla106@gmail.com. Twyla, TWY. A lot of her story mirrored mine. But one part of it was when she said, Mama got her own. It was the summer of 2006. I remember this because my sibling and I had been outside playing with the neighbors' kids well after dark. The night my mom left, she and my stepfather had just had an argument. At this point, their divorce was already final, but they continued living under the same roof, just in different rooms, as they claimed it was easier that way. He had very possessive ways, so he didn't take it lightly when he found out my mother was entertaining other men during this time. I guess that was the night he had finally had enough and decided this time would be her last argument with him. She darted out the door, never looking back to see if we were okay or even assured us things would be okay. You know, like some mothers do when they love their children and actually care about their well-being. Our mother just left. Initially, I thought she would come back in the morning, but she was a no-show. And every day after that, I started to think the worst. I would call around asking relatives and friends if they had seen her until finally someone at her job mentioned her leaving with a male coworker. I knew that once again she had chosen someone else over us. I'm gonna stop right there because the dynamics in just that part for your trauma, not just the sexual abuse, but when I read that, it answered the question why you had two children by him, because you had become the wife in the house. She left. When you talking, I didn't know she had left. So he had full reign and access to you as a child, and that was similar to my story too, because my mom was in prison. That's how my dad had access to me and my sister to do what he wanted to with us, and plus we was in another state. And then there was an abandonment issue. My mom was in prison all till I became an adult, and then the issue of fear and just blocking everything out and just blocking out and being like a zombie every day.
Yeah.
I would like to interject here. So one, the presence behind the book is so heavy, right? It's so heavy because what you went through was heavy. It was just unbearable. It was unbearable, right? As a little girl, how old were you?
I was 5 years old when the abuse started.
Exactly. You were just unbearable. And so I'm sure the viewers watching have a lot of questions.
They do. They do.
We got a lot of questions. One, how could a mama do that to their baby? I mean, we just gonna deal with it, right? They're
Yeah.
like, what and they probably got a few choice words for mama right now.
Yeah.
Right. That
Mhm.
to, you know, what was wrong with your daddy? The reason why he would even consider to do something like that,
Yeah.
right? So they just got a lot of questions. Just from reading just a portion of your book. My question is more about you, right? It's more about you and what was going on within you while mama was doing what she was doing, while your dad was doing what he was doing. And I know you were young and you probably didn't understand, but I'm sure something in you was like, something doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they, argued a lot. They fought a lot. And so the police was involved a lot, to where they were, he was leaving and she was putting up chairs in front of the door so that he couldn't get in. So, the whole environment was traumatic in itself. And so I felt like that interaction with my stepfather was kind of a way to kind of keep things in the home leveled, you know. And as a child, that's the least of your, you don't want to think like that, but to keep things balanced, I felt that that's what had to be done. And because I felt that my mother was allowing it,
Mhm.
I felt that it became normal.
Mhm.
It became a routine. And so, I can't say too much about how I felt because, like I tell, the people in my life, I kind of disassociated at that age. And so
Absolutely.
every decision I made going forward through that time period was based on survival mode. It was based
Absolutely.
on the trauma.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
Yep.
with that being said, and you having the trauma and you going through what you're going through, you're disassociated. That disassociation went throughout your life, teenage, young
Mhm.
adult, it went throughout your entire life, you being
Yeah.
disassociated. I'm just going to change gears just for a little bit. Just change gears. Listen, if you were disassociated, how did you get to where you are today? Because you can't be disassociated and write a book and be on Trophy of Grace podcast. Something had to change.
Because at some point, okay, so my stepfather died in 2013 of natural causes. And I was actually the one that found him. And I think that was the beginning of my healing journey because it
Mhm.
was like a big sigh of relief initially. And then it was like a question of, is this real? You know?
Mhm.
And a part of me always knew because I always had that inkling, that little bit of faith, just enough faith in God to know that someday, it would be over.
Mhm.
Mm,
Finding the strength to actually speak out and end it myself, I didn't have at the time. And so I
Mhm.
really relied on God to turn things around in my favor. And so throughout the time after his death and dealing with my mother and how she started initially blaming me for the situation and me being outcasted by people and talked about, I had to really make the decision and within myself to separate myself from everyone so that the
Mhm.
real healing could begin, because you can't heal in the same places and
Mhm.
spaces that hurt you, right?
that's right.
Mhm.
And so that's how I was able to start my healing journey. And then I had to look at my children, because I wanted to be better than my mother. I wanted to break those cycles. And so it took a lot of willpower and determination. And, like I said, I had to get tired of the way that I was being in survivor mode and people pleasing and things of that nature.
There you go.
And writing my book was, it
Mhm.
really helped with that.
So good.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Twyla, what you
God, I
thinking?
owe
What
it
you
all to
thinking,
God.
Twyla? I see your head over there moving. You're like, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I don't know why I hate that we have so much in common in this way. But it's like hearing her talk is like she just saying everything that I have said and went through and still sometimes hear those little voices and it's like, dang, this and it's encouraging too to me
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
know that God is I always pray, I said, God, please use me as somebody. Help these
Mhm.
girls, help us. And
There's two
Definitely
she
be a
things.
vessel.
There's two things I think we should address, and I know I have to go in about 8 minutes. But one is we need to talk about the generation that allows these things to take place.
Mhm.
I don't think we
mm,
discussed that. Remember, because
mm-mm,
when we were growing up, you don't talk about that kind of stuff.
mm-hmm,
What goes
That's
on in the house
behind
stays in
closed
the
doors.
house.
That's right, right. And so that's one. And then two, talk about fear, the fear of
fear.
speaking out.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because that's what it is. It's fear. It was
Mm-hmm,
fear
Yeah.
for the generation that told us that we can't talk about those things.
Mhm.
Yes.
Fear got into us, telling us that we can't tell others, right? So
Mhm.
it's a fear-based thing that created this whole scenario. It was fear, the reason why your dad did what he did, and it was fear why your mama did what she did to go be with these other
Mhm.
men. So ultimately, the bottom line was fear. It's just
Yeah.
they took the fear and it got twisted, and they made these twisted decisions thinking that they were in survival mode, trying to find the best way out that they could possibly, think of at the time.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, it was just not a healthy solution. I'm
Right.
being
Yeah.
kind, but I'm being real
Yeah.
Right.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And this has happened to multiple people, millions of people,
Yes, indeed.
including myself, right?
Right.
And so this is a very common thing. This is a very common topic, a common experience, a common subject. Now, I don't have kids from, my parents. My daddy died when I was 7. I haven't done any of that, but that's another topic of discussion. What is it like to be the mother of your sister or your brother? I think that would be another great podcast. Maybe not for this one, but maybe for another one. That'd be another topic, so people can understand. Well, why did you keep them? Because you love them.
Yeah.
Because
The
you love
child
them.
is not the child is not the problem.
No.
Although when things happen, like I did give the child away when I first had her. I was 14. I did. But when she came back into my life, I never felt or held her accountable for what had happened because she's a victim just like I was. The children
Mhm.
had nothing to do with how they were conceived.
Yeah.
But so that's the issue. And a lot of people is like people will be like, how can you keep them? Don't they remind you of the trauma? Not really.
Yeah. No.
It depends on
No.
who you are today.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on who
Yeah.
you are today. If you still the frightened little girl in the
Yeah.
past, yes, it's going to remind you. But if you walk the path of freedom, right, in
Mhm.
Christ, you've done the work, counseling, getting, following the steps, then you're probably a different person today. And so you can love them, the way
Mhm.
that they should be loved, without allowing, what has happened, how they got here to affect your relationship.
Indeed. Indeed.
Them. But
Yeah.
Twyla, it'd be great if you can kind of talk about, fear and how to overcome fear in the circumstances, situations like this, and you can empower your viewing audience, right? Empower them, give them steps and practical solutions that they can take. Because I'm sure there are many beautiful people watching. They're saying, "How do I get out of where I am right now?" Like that's
Right.
great. What I'm talking about is great, but help me.
Right. Right. And I know you have to leave soon, but I want to ask Kwamisha, I want you to start off. What are some of the practical things that you've done to help you in this healing journey? We're not going to say we heal. We're just going to say
Yeah.
on this journey.
Um, building a relationship with God. That's
Number
first and foremost.
one.
And after that, building a relationship within myself. Um, it started with the determination to be better.
Yeah.
I got tired of being angry. I got tired of
Mm,
holding on to the resentment. I got tired of, the regret and the
mm,
guilt and the shame because it
mm.
was preventing me from living my life. It was
Yeah.
preventing me from building that relationship and being a better mother to my children. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to continue the cycle. I didn't want to be like my mother. And so
Right.
I had to get tired within myself and be determined to say, okay, some things got to change. And
Right.
I can't keep giving my power away to those people that hurt me because they no longer matter, especially if I'm separating myself from them. There's no reason for me to sit and wallow in those negative emotions and those feelings, and my children didn't deserve it. And so in
Right.
order to break those generational curses and those cycles, it starts with you.
Right.
You have to be determined.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of the fear of being judged, the fear of being shamed,
Yeah.
the fear of the backlash. You have to get rid of it because ultimately fear is a control mechanism, you know?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Um, and so you got to call your power back. You got to take your power back.
Yes. What were some of the resources you used to do that? Like, I
Um,
think,
Writing, journaling. I have a relationship with God, but I'm not overly religious. But things. Shadow work is a big thing.
Yeah.
And shadow work is really just diving into those negative aspects of yourself,
Yeah.
and really addressing them and asking yourself, okay, well, why am I so angry? You know,
Yeah.
why do I have this fear of being judged? Where does it stem from? Why am I people pleasing? Why do I allow people to take advantage of me? And so
Mhm.
once you can start pinpointing, you know, the core of those issues, you can better deal with those triggers when they arise. You can better deal with the people that tend to trigger you and easily remove yourself from those situations a lot better. So it really takes some soul searching, and some you got to have patience and grace with yourself.
Yes, yes, yes. I love the way you worded that because some people, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's shadow work, meditation,
Hmm.
reading the Word of God,
Hmm.
counseling. You know, because like I said, I'm a life coach and grief counselor, and the Word of God does talk about that there's wisdom in a multitude of counselors, and there's freedom in it. So,
Hmm.
but I like what you said in the beginning. I was tired.
Yeah,
That is, I can remember sitting in my truck saying exactly that. I'm tired.
yeah,
I'm tired. I'm t-. And we don't know what to do. All we
mm,
know is we tired. I don't
yeah,
know what the next step is, what
yeah,
I'm gonna do, because I didn't have parents to go to, like a lot of people had parents to go to and grandparents. All I had was God.
hmm,
All you had was God.
yes, indeed,
Yeah, then he sent me a man who, well, I was married to for 20 years and he passed in 23. That helped, that God used to love me through.
yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah. So,
yeah,
yeah, that's, yeah. So my prayer is that everybody get to that place in their mind. I'm tired.
yes. You have to, especially if you have children looking up to you. Especially if you have children, you have to. That's where it starts. It starts with yourself, you know.
Yes,
And you know, accountability is key. Accountability is key.
right.
You know, we tend to always want to blame other people for how they make us feel, but we
Yes,
have to realize that we allow them. You know, people can only do to you what you allow,
right,
you know,
right,
so
right,
you got to
right.
hold yourself accountable.
Right, right. Because you're right. Because I can remember saying the reason I'm doing this because my daddy did this to me, and I don't feel
Yeah.
worthy. And if he did that to me, then surely I can do this and that. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter because I'm worthless. I'm try. He didn't. I was sexually abused. I'm not. I'm not. I felt worthless,
Yeah.
nasty.
That's
You know.
that victim mindset. You got to get
Mm-hmm.
out of victim mode. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I really enjoyed talking to you. I'm not gonna hold you here all day. I won't. But can you come back and we can finish the
Most
conversation?
definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely.
So I hit you up and you're on your platforms. And like I said, for all the listeners, we're not gonna hold you guys much longer. She's gonna come back because I know I'm gonna get some comments about some things that we didn't address. But I tell you this, reading her book is answers a lot of the questions. If you read, you go get her book on
Yes.
Kindle.
Go
It's
get the
free.
book. Here you
Go
go.
get
Go
the
get the
book.
book. Go get the book.
Yes, yes, go get the book. And that answers a lot of questions that you probably like, well, dang, I want to say this. No, go get the book. And then
Yes.
we will come back and talk more to just have candid, open, transparent conversation.
Most definitely.
Thank you. So I really can't say thank you enough.
I'm grateful for this opportunity. This is my first time doing anything like this. So this is really helping me and
Okay.
preparing me for what's to come because God has already given me the vision. So I'm grateful to you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so
Right.
much.
No, thank God and thank you.
Thank